welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to talk a bit about 3D printing, especially this printer that I got here. This is the Creality Ender 3 V3 SE. Stupid name, by the way. But yeah, this is my 3D printer, my first and only 3D printer that I ever had and ever played around with. I got this on some kind of sale a few months back. I think it was like around the $200 mark. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. I'll put some links in the description if you're interested in one. Keep in mind, while I'm going to do a bit of review about this 3D printer, it's going to be through the eyes of a layman like me, somebody who never ever messed with 3D printer before. So if you already own 5 of them and you want, to pick up this one and you want to know about it, well, this is not the review for you. I picked this up on a whim, to be honest. I just saw some advertising online and I read like a quarter of a review somewhere on some kind of blog, and I was like, nah, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna get it, see what happens. It was reasonably priced, so I was like, whatever. I'm not gonna regret it, and I like tinkering with things, hence the name of the channel. So for me, that's fine. Messing around with stuff like that, even if it's cheap, well, that's how I have fun. I've had this, like I said, for a few months now, and I'm really happy with it. It's not the best printer ever, even I know that. It's really not. It's missing a lot of features that could be considered standard on different printers, but for me, this is fine. For the kind of printing I do, this is just fine as it is. While this is great and it's served me really well, there are some caveats when owning a 3D printer. And again, I have read no reviews, I watch no videos about it, but you should know this kind of stuff before you get into 3D printing and why it may not be for you. And it's really not for everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. But before we get there, let's talk a bit about this printer, how I got it, how I set it up, and what goes into 3D printing in general. So inside the huge box, which I couldn't fit in the frame, there's the quick start guide, owner's manual, a few stickers, a few tools like a side cutter, an SD card and a card reader for your computer, a tool that helps unplug the nozzle in case it gets stuck, but it hasn't happened in my case yet, a tiny amount like 100 grams of PLA filament to get you started on your first print, and some other bits and bobs like Allen keys and screwdriver and screws to fit everything together. There's also the display, which goes on the side, which helps you control the printer, and the spool holder. Fitting everything together isn't difficult at all. Basically, it mostly comes put together. You just have to assemble the gantry with a few Allen screws from the bottom and a few from the top. Next goes on the display bracket and the display itself, which snaps into place, and the extruder cable itself, which just snaps into place with a little bracket that helps from sagging. Turning it on, first thing you do is you calibrate everything. It'll self-calibrating, which is actually quite nice for this entry-level kind of printer, and that's it. Once it's done, insert the SD card, and inside you already have a G-code for a print, and you just get on with it. From the main menu, it's quite intuitive, and it'll start printing. All this took like 20, maybe 25 minutes, and the printer started doing its thing, printing this bed scraper, which is actually turned out quite a useful tool to have around. And for your first print, literally half an hour after opening the box, well, in my opinion, it's not that bad. It actually looks really nice, and I'm really happy with it. Here are some things that I printed, like this SD card holder from my camera. Also for my camera, I have this battery holder for my Sony camera. That comes really in handy when you kind of keep track of used and charged batteries. This utility knife, this handy little storage tray for my resistors, and of course the case for my Raspberry 5. Some beer crates for my 18650s. A tool holder for all the tools that came with this printer, including some extra nozzles that I got. This hard disk caddy keeps all my hard disks in one place and easily accessible. And this is the most complicated thing I printed, this bench vise, which actually is quite good, and I've used it a lot since I printed it. Like I said, this is the most complicated print that I did, as in moving parts and everything, but everything turned out great, after I messed up a few times, obviously. Now, all the prints I showed are nothing special. You can probably buy them online for pennies or a couple of bucks even. You don't really need a 3D printer for stuff like that, unless you want to have fun with it. But the real useful part about a 3D printer is making your own models and printing them for whatever you need. But herein lies the catch. You'll have to learn design. You'll have to learn 3D design, which is not that easy. I have no experience or background in this kind of stuff. You'll see me here struggling to make a support for basically a piece of wood for some lights, but I have no experience with this. This is my first time trying anything like this, and I'm probably going the wrong way, and everybody who knows anything about this kind of stuff is probably screaming at me that I'm not doing it properly. This is the best I could muster. This software is called Fusion 360 and it's free for personal use. Some of the features, not all the advanced features, because it's obviously a lot more powerful software that I could ever take advantage of, but I am trying my best. And this is the final product. How it came out is just a support for a piece of wood that I needed to remove and take back where my lights for my desk used to stand. Since then I've moved house and I don't have a better video of them yet. I don't know where I put them. So yeah, designing your own stuff isn't that intuitive and it takes a while. The other things I did design is this cover for a fan, well, for like a bathroom fan, and these very simple table legs for my new desk that I have. That's basically the gist of it. If you need to print your own parts, have your own designs and design your own stuff and mechanical stuff, especially interlocking, and when it comes to curved parts, it's a huge learning curve, which depends if you have the time to learn it, to learn the skills. They're applicable in many other industries or hobbies or whatever. But again, if you have the time, I rarely have the time anymore and rarely find the time. And for now, I'm happy just sticking to prints that I find off the internet, and people are really good at coming up with new designs and stuff that's really helpful, and anything you could ever imagine, people are probably working on it or they already have worked on it and the file is somewhere on the internet. You just have to find it. But 3D printing is not a hobby for everybody. Apart from all this designing Euro stuff and everything, it's a lot of maintenance when it comes to 3D printers. Mine is living right here. It needs a sturdy workspace. It doesn't need to move too much, otherwise you'll get problems with your printing, which I didn't show that much. Mine, I'm not that interested. The kind of parts I print is not hobby stuff. I don't print toys and action figures where I need the details and everything like that. I just print useful stuff that I can use around my shop or around my work desk and stuff like that. So I don't really care about quality that much. Then again, this printer is really not made for that kind of quality or that kind of work. But you will need to keep maintenance on it. It's a mechanical part. There's a lot of moving parts like belts and bearings and stuff like that, which will wear down over time. I already bought some replacements. They're up there somewhere. When they eventually do break down, because they will, everything breaks down, especially when it comes to moving parts. Also have to keep in mind your filament. Like, you cannot just store it in open air. You have to keep it dry. Wet filament. It's not actually wet, it just absorbs moisture from the air, and it will ruin your prints if it is way too moist. So when you're storing filament, you have to keep it in Ziploc bags. I mean, that's how I keep it, in Ziploc bags with some silica gel here to keep it dry until I use it next time, because, you know, now I have a lot of colors. But it is a fun hobby. This is a great printer. I'm really happy with it. You can print and find all kind of stuff. When you don't have one, you don't realize how useful it can be. I mean, I've even printed a headphone stand for my headphones. You could buy one, but you know, it's ready in 1 hour until it prints. It's granted, it's PLA, it's nothing special. And another thing to keep in mind with this kind of printer, it cannot print everything. It does great with what I've tried on it, PLA, which is the fastest and cheapest actually filament there is out there. I printed PETG, which is a bit of a pain to get started. At least in my case, bed adhesion wasn't that good. The print wasn't sticking to the bed. I also printed in this, what's it called? I forgot what it's called. TPU, yeah, TPU, which is the soft filament actually. Let me show you. I mean this type of filament, which is soft and rubbery once printed. It's actually quite useful for a lot of things. These are feet that I printed for the printer because it has way too many vibrations for my liking. But yeah, it cannot do what's the other thing, ABS or stuff like that. That's very difficult to print. You need a print enclosure and keep the temperature steady and everything. I wouldn't bother with that. At least in my case, the kind of stuff I'm printing, I don't really care about that much. Also, PLA is very heat sensitive. Once it reaches like, I think 70 degrees Celsius, it starts to warp. It won't melt or anything like that. It'll just bend and warp over time, so your parts won't be straight anymore. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like you can see my IKEA pegboards, they're filled with hooks and stuff where you can put all your tools and whatever it is. I'm really happy with it. You can find it used for not that much money. I think it's around $100 on eBay. Depends where you find it, or your local marketplace on Facebook or whatever else you use. Actually, there's a new version, the V4, I think, SE, and their V3, yeah, V4 now or something like, I don't know. It looks very similar. Actually, it looks a lot more flimsy because of the gantry, which tends to wobble a lot, especially if you put your filament on top. That's why my filament now lives on a separate place, because it was all the weight on top. It's a kilo of filament. It will make the gantry move a lot left and right, which is, well, not ideal, especially when you want to make parts that fit together. Tolerances can be, well, they need to be really good. But yeah, you can find them used, you can buy them new, they're not that expensive. I think the V4 is a bit too expensive for what it is. But again, you make up your own mind, you buy whatever you want. I'm just a guy that bought my first 3D printer and I'm really happy with it. I'm no reviewer of any 3D printers, this is my first one. Really happy with it. What else to say? Thanks for watching. If you did like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. Please subscribe, I really need subscribers. I'm sorry videos are coming out so slow, but work is, well, not giving me fresh free time, but hopefully in the future more videos coming out. I have some laptops here that I want to talk about and some other shenanigans that I'm gonna get up to. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and see you for the next one.